My boyfriend made me wait 2 hours at our favorite cozy bistro for our anniversary. When he finally showed up with his car club friends, he loudly announced, "See? Told you she'd still be here," like a loyal labradoodle waiting by the door. They all snickered. We'd been together 3 years, and I'd just paid for the last bespoke component of his vintage car engine rebuild. I just smiled, ordered another Earl Grey tea. This morning, my phone shows 80-something missed calls, and his prized antique car parts are in industrial bins at the local recycling center. Landon and I met 3 years ago when a microburst destroyed my balcony garden. My meticulously planned vertical herb wall was reduced to splinters. Landon, the landscape designer assigned to fix it, kept finding new structural issues or rare exotic plant needs, which I now realize was his way of seeing me more. Back then, I found it charming. Now I wonder if he over-fertilized my tomatoes to prolong visits. Regardless, chatting with him felt effortlessly easy, rare for me as I'm usually awkward. By year 1, things were chill. We moved in together after 9 months. His workshop rental agreement ended, and it made financial sense. Landon freelanced as a landscape designer and vintage car restorer, but struggled with consistent income, often clashing with clients or suppliers over artistic differences or Philistine tastes. He'd get ghosted or walk off jobs, a major red flag I ignored. Over the years, Landon sent me ridiculously long, angry voice messages on his vintage car forum app. He'd trash clients, calling them brainless drones who couldn't discern antique parts, mocking their lack of taste and skill. He'd rant about preserving vintage restoration but getting no recognition. I saved these messages, sometimes recording them directly before the app deleted old ones, perhaps subconsciously knowing they'd matter. He did the same with his parents when they wouldn't loan him money for passion projects, calling his dad a pathetic excuse for a craftsman, and his mom a sheep. After they refused to fund a '67 Barracuda part, he sent a 5-minute rant calling them failures who never understood true artistry. Listening made me queasy, but I added them to my Landon Rants folder. By year 2, I bankrolled most shared expenses and a good chunk of his business. My job was stable, and I told myself relationships balanced out. One person carries weight until the other gets on their feet. Landon always promised things would turn around with one big break, or that one elusive part. 7 months ago, Landon's dream project car, a vintage '67 Barracuda, he couldn't afford to restore, hit a wall. He needed a specific, rare carburetor and a bespoke engine block from a European fabricator. He was devastated, calling it his magnum opus, claiming these components were essential for it to run. I foolishly offered to help with payments since it affected his work on other clients' cars. I took over payments for the custom fabrication, nearly $700 per month for parts and tooling. I wanted to be supportive, hoping it would stabilize him and complete his masterpiece. Looking back, paying for his project car seems painfully obvious now, but then it felt like investing in US. We lived together, I used the workshop too, and without his car projects he was constantly moody. He was dramatic about potentially losing his artistic integrity. Anyway, last night was our 3-year anniversary. I'd just made the final, huge payment for the bespoke engine block last week, a massive financial stretch. I reserved a charming bistro we'd always wanted to try but rarely afforded. I spent ages getting ready, new dress, hair done. I arrived at 7:00 p.m. for our reservation. Landon texted he was running late. By 7:35, I'd texted 3 times with no response. By 8 o'clock, I'd called twice straight to voicemail. The waitress gave me pitying looks, asking if I wanted to order or reschedule. Mortified, I kept saying, "Oh, he's just stuck in traffic with his car projects," checking my phone every 2 minutes. At 8:50, almost 2 hours alone, I was about to give up when Landon walked in with 4 car club buddies. He'd never mentioned anyone else for our anniversary. They sauntered to my table, laughing and buzzed. Then, Landon turned to his friends and said, loud enough for other tables, "See? Told you she'd still be here, like a loyal labradoodle. 2 hours and she didn't budge." They burst out laughing. Jackson, a friend I always disliked, added, "Damn, you weren't kidding, she's trained good." More laughter. Landon plopped down, squeezed my cheeks like a child, and said, "This is why she's the best. Most chicks would have stormed out, but my Alara? She funds my passions and waits around like a good girl." He smirked. "Ah, did you think this was going to be some romantic dinner? That's adorable. We have a car meetup after this. I just needed to make sure you were good for the next round of payments first." When I didn't respond, he grabbed my chin roughly. Hello, Earth to Alara. God, you're so melodramatic sometimes. Say something. Or are you just going to sit there looking like a sad puppy? His friends found this hysterical. I couldn't breathe. 3 years. I'd dropped nearly 15K on his projects. And this is what he thought of me? A pathetic sponsor? The server, looking uncomfortable, asked for our order. I smiled and said, actually, I'd like another pot of Earl Grey first. Landon and his friends ordered expensive appetizers and craft beers, still joking about my patience. Landon then told the server, don't worry about bringing her any food. She's watching her figure. Another few pounds, and we'd need a bigger garage to fit her in. Everyone laughed. I sat there, utterly humiliated. After my tea arrived, I took a long sip, placed it down, and said I needed the restroom. Landon barely acknowledged me, busy with his friends. In the bathroom, I stared at myself, not crying, not angry yet, just done. 3 years of excuses, of carrying us financially, of ignoring red flags. This was what he truly thought. That's when I decided, no scene, no crying, no yelling. Landon deserved something calculated. I opened my laptop to those saved voice messages, where he trashed clients as incompetent and fraudulent, and his parents as pathetic failures. Dozens were in that folder, some downloaded. I texted my friend Alara, who lives nearby, asking for a pickup in 15 minutes. I returned to the table, smiled, and excused myself for a work emergency call. As I walked out, I paid for only my tea and pastry on my card, telling the server the gentleman would cover the rest. Then I got into Alara's car and blocked Landon's number before he realized I was gone. I didn't just block his number. I had a plan. Over the years, I'd helped Landon with his business tech issues. I had access to his business email, cloud storage for blueprints, auto parts supplier accounts for those payments, and even his social media. I knew how information could be efficiently disseminated. This was last night. This morning, I woke to 80-something missed calls from unrecognized numbers, his friends, and frantic texts from Landon's business phone, begging me to talk, claiming it was just a joke, asking, what did you do? What did I do? That's for tomorrow. Let's just say his key clients and his parents received some very interesting voice clips, and that bespoke engine block? Canceling the final payment and providing evidence of misrepresentation made the supplier take order termination seriously. More to come. I need to finish packing his precious car parts for their new home at the local industrial recycling center. Everything I did was within my rights. I'll explain more later. First update. After Alara picked me up, I was in a weird, serene shock, not crying, which is unlike me. I just stared out the window, thinking of Landon's voice messages. At my apartment, I broke down ugly crying. Alara just sat with me, brought cookie dough ice cream, and let me vent for 2 hours, not even looking at her phone. Around midnight, my phone blew up with Landon's texts, initially furious. Where TF did you vanish to? Then fake concern. Are you okay? By 1 a.m., he sent marathon texts claiming it was just a harmless prank and I was overreacting. Classic gaslighting. I didn't respond. Instead, I made a list of all accounts I had access to. His business email, parts supplier accounts, he always forgot logins. Cloud storage, set up on my laptop. Car forum subscriptions, shared family plan I paid for. His business banking app and shared streaming services, again paid by me. It was insane he'd given me access to his entire digital existence, but it gave me an exhilarating sense of power. For the first time, I felt absolute control. He literally gave me all these passwords and asked me to manage these accounts. I wasn't hacking anything. The next morning, after fitful sleep, I started my plan. First, the engine block. I logged into his supplier account. My payment from last week was still processing. I immediately called customer service, explaining I needed to cancel due to fraudulent representation of funds, that I'd been manipulated into paying for someone else's hobby. They asked for documentation, so I sent screenshots where Landon admitted the project was solely his, not joint. I also mentioned voice recordings of him, bragging to Jackson about my funding. The supplier investigated and agreed to reverse the payment. While dealing with the supplier, Landon called 20 times. I sent him to voicemail. He left increasingly desperate messages, angry, then profusely apologetic, then angry again. In one he said, "You're overreacting to a stupid joke and ruining our anniversary." Our anniversary? The one where he humiliated me? LOL. Around noon, I checked his other accounts. I found everything. Dozens of private messages between Landon and Jackson planning the bistro stunt for days, Jackson wrote. Can't wait to see her face when you tell her it's not actually an anniversary dinner, LOL. Landon replied. She'll probably just sit there and take it, like always. Worse, I found flirty emails and suggestive photos with Aubrey from his car community, dating back months. Nothing explicit, but seriously crossing lines. One message last week. After the meetup? With a winky face. I was shaking 3 years, thousands of dollars, emotional support, boundless patience. This is how he repaid me. I took a quick coffee break, spilling it from trembling hands. Elara at work, kept texting. I replied. I'm fine, just processing. And returned to my investigation. Next, I opened his cloud storage via his business email. In a notes folder, I found a recording from 4 months ago. Landon and Jackson laughing about me being his artistic patron, and him keeping me around, until something better, with deeper pockets, comes along. I had given him everything, and he laughed behind my back the entire time. So I made another list. 1. Send voice clips of him trashing clients to their business emails. 2. Send voice clips of him calling his parents failures to them. 3. Cancel all shared subscriptions and access to my workshop. 4. Pack up all his project car parts and personal belongings. 5. Change my passwords and lock him out of my accounts. The voice messages were easy. I had them saved. I used a temporary email to send clips of Landon trashing clients to their business emails, finding contacts via his invoices. I did the same with his parents, sending clips where he called them pathetic failures. No commentary, just, thought you should hear how Landon talks about you when you're not around. Next, I logged into all shared accounts, streaming, car forums, online tools, and changed passwords or canceled them. Systematically removing him from my digital life felt incredibly good. Then the hard part, packing. He'd lived with me and used my workshop for 2 years, so he had staggering amounts of stuff. I started with tools and car parts, stuffing them into heavy-duty crates. Not organizing them felt rebellious, as I always kept his workshop immaculate. I filled 10 crates just with tools and engine components. I was halfway through his personal belongings when the doorbell rang. My heart stopped. Through the peephole, it was Landon, looking dejected, clutching wilting roses. Roses? Like that would fix anything. I didn't answer. I backed away, sitting on the hallway floor, silent. He rang again, knocked, then called my phone on silent. Finally, he yelled through the door about me being childish and needing to talk like adults. After 30 minutes, a neighbor must have threatened building security, as he left, but not before sliding a crumpled note under my door. We need to talk. I'm sorry about last night. It was supposed to be a joke. Please call me. A joke? Public humiliation from the person who's supposed to love you is not a joke. I resumed packing with steely determination. By 7 p.m., all his belongings were in industrial-strength bags and crates by the door. 23 containers total, 3 years reduced to 23 containers. My phone pinged with an email. The auto parts supplier approved the payment reversal. Money returned within 3 to 5 business days. I did a small, dignified happy dance. Almost immediately, Landon sent a frantic text. Why are my orders for the new exhaust manifold canceled? What did you do to my car project? I didn't respond, but I smiled. Around 9 p.m., my phone exploded. Landon's key clients had received the voice clips and called emergency meetings. From his desperate texts, it didn't go well. Clients had suspected shoddy workmanship and missed deadlines. Hearing Landon call them uninspired hacks was the last straw. His contracts were terminated, pending liability insurance review. His parents also received their clips, calling him in tears, asking why he'd say such horrible things. His mom was inconsolable. His dad wouldn't speak to him. By 11 p.m., Landon sent long, rambling texts about me ruining his artistic career and how one bad joke didn't justify what I had done. He switched between begging forgiveness and threatening legal action. I saved all texts but didn't respond. I slept at Alara's, a little scared he might show up drunk, but in the morning, I felt lighter, finally standing up for myself. Next, his stuff. 23 heavy containers couldn't stay. I didn't want to see him, Alara suggested. What if we just took it to the industrial recycling center? It seemed extreme. I wasn't sure I could throw away his prized possessions, but then I remembered the emails, the planned humiliation, the cheating, 3 years of supporting him while he laughed behind my back. So this morning, Alara borrowed her brother's flatbed truck, and we loaded all 23 containers. I checked one last time for birth certificates or irreplaceable family items. I'm not a monster. Then we drove to the industrial recycling center and recycled it all. Watching the giant compactor crush his designer tools and expensive vintage car parts was deeply therapeutic. Driving back, Landon called from an unrecognized number. I didn't answer. He left a frantic message. His workshop access was revoked. He needed his tools and parts to salvage his next project. Too late. I'm back at my apartment and workshop. It feels empty but profoundly peaceful. I changed all the locks today. My landlord was understanding. Some might call what I did extreme, but after 3 years of being a doormat, it felt like exactly what he deserved. More updates to come. Jackson has been blowing up my phone with angry messages, and Aubrey from the car community is confused why Landon's suddenly cold to her. The dominoes are still falling. The car project was entirely in his name. My payments were gifts/contributions, not ownership. I was never legally responsible. I kept important documents, though. Second update. The morning after the recycling trip, I woke to scratching at my door. My doorbell cam showed Landon sitting on the floor looking wrecked, pushing notes under my door. Please talk to me. I need my tools. My clients are firing me. My parents won't talk to me. I'm crashing at Jackson's. Part of me felt bad for 3 seconds. Then I remembered sitting alone in that bistro. Nope. I collected the notes, evidence, and made coffee. My espresso machine broke, so instant coffee it was. While sipping, I checked my phone. 93 missed calls, 19 voicemails. Landon had been busy. I noticed one from his mom. She sounded upset but not angry, thanking me for opening her eyes about her son and asking if we could talk. She was ashamed of his behavior. I saved that voicemail, deleted the rest. I haven't called his mom back yet. I'm still processing and avoiding family drama. As I prepared to leave for Alara's, my doorbell rang. Landon was gone, but Jackson was there. I didn't answer, but Jackson spoke, claiming Landon was broken, and I needed to stop this revenge game. He then tried to gaslight me, saying he was never at the bistro and knew nothing until afterward. But he was there, laughing. I later checked the doorbell cam. Jackson had been filming, trying to get me to say something, sneaky jerk. After Jackson left, I headed to Alara's. I checked my bank account, anxiety, and saw the engine block payment refund processed. That was fast. I did a little happy dance on the sidewalk. At Alara's, we ordered takeout and systematically reviewed everything. She helped me timeline events. Bistro humiliation Thursday, discovering planned emails Friday morning, sending voice clips Friday afternoon, recycling belongings Sunday morning. Written out, it looked cold and calculated. I wondered if I'd gone too far. Alara saw my face, pulled up screenshots of Landon's humiliation messages, and made me reread them. Nope, not even close. Later, I checked Landon's public Instagram. He's building a personal brand. His latest post was a long, vague apology about mistakes. Comments were a mess. Friends asking what happened, Aubrey commenting, "Call me." His cousin asking why he wasn't answering Aunt Marge. While stalking, I got a text from Dorian, a mutual acquaintance. "Can we talk?" Not taking sides, just confused. He followed up. "Landon told everyone you hacked his accounts and stole from him, but that doesn't sound like you." Hacked? Stole? Oh hell no. I called Dorian. He sounded shocked. Landon had told everyone a completely different story. I'd gone psycho after a tiny joke, hacked accounts, stolen money, and destroyed his possessions out of female hysteria. He painted himself as the victim. I took a breath. "Do you want to know what really happened?" He said yes. I told him everything. The 2-hour wait, the humiliation, the planned messages, the voice messages about clients and parents, paying for his projects while he mocked me. I even played a clip where he called me his personal ATM. A long silence. Then Dorian said, "Holy crap, he's been lying to all of us." Landon had been spinning stories for months, claiming I was clingy, controlling, unstable. Dorian apologized for not reaching out and asked if he could tell the others. I said yes. The next morning, I felt ready to return home. Alara came with me. The hallway was clear, but more notes were under my door, angrier. "You're ruining my life. You'll regret this. And I know what you did with my stuff." Yeah, recycling center. Not a secret. I spent the day deep cleaning and rearranging. Moving a workbench made the workshop feel new. I threw out old garage mats and ordered vibrant new ones. I hung art prints Landon called too feminine. My apartment and workshop were becoming mine again. Wednesday brought a new development. An email from one of Landon's former clients' corporate legal department. They were investigating professional misconduct and asked if I'd provide relevant information. I assumed the client showed them the voice clips. I replied I'd share what I knew. Limited to voice messages he sent me voluntarily where he discussed his workplace and colleagues. I emphasized I hadn't recorded or obtained anything illegally. They seemed satisfied and asked for relevant messages. I sent 3 of the worst, where Landon called their head engineer incompetent, claimed to do their design work, and admitted taking clients' custom parts for his own projects. I don't know what happened, but Landon's Instagram that evening posted cryptically about the toxic nature of corporate environments. Thursday, things got truly weird. At the farmer's market, I ran into Landon's mom. Awkward. I tried to move on, but she stopped me. She thanked me for the voice clips. She and Landon's dad had supported him financially for years. Unaware he mocked them. The vintage car he claimed to restore for us? They'd put the down payment and co-signed a large loan for its purchase. Landon took money from both of us simultaneously. She apologized for raising someone who'd treat me that way. Genuinely heartbroken. I didn't have the heart to tell her about the planned humiliation or the other girl. Some things parents don't need to know. At home, a package. Not Landon's, a voucher for a pottery class and a note from my neighbor, thanking me for finally getting rid of that disruptive character. Apparently, Landon revved his car loudly when I wasn't home and was rude to complaining neighbors. Who knew? Last night, exactly 1 week after the bistro, I changed all social media to private and blocked Landon's 5 new accounts. I changed my phone number, a hassle but worth the peace of mind. And this morning, drum roll, a letter from the auto parts supplier, confirming the engine block order was permanently canceled and payment reversed. They included an internal memo confirming the investigation into Landon's fraudulent representations. It was Landon's problem now. Alara called asking if I felt bad. I thought about it. Not even a little. Landon spent 3 years taking everything. My money, time, self-esteem. All I did was show everyone who he really is, using his own words and actions. What's next? I'm putting the engine part money into a savings account and considering adopting a rescue dog. Something Landon never allowed, claiming allergies he wasn't. I found antihistamines he took before visiting his dog-owning sister. Last I heard from Dorian, Landon's still crashing on Jackson's couch. No steady work, his prized project car half-finished in storage, racking up fees, and his reputation in shambles. All because he couldn't resist publicly humiliating the one person supporting his artistic dreams for years. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I won't speak to Landon again. My closure came when I walked out of that bistro. Everything since confirms I made the right choice. Last update. 7 months later. I moved a month and a half after everything. My old apartment felt weird. My lease ended, so I found a smaller, cuter place. It costs more but is worth it for peace of mind. And I got a dog. Her name's Comet, a sassy terrier mix who hates revving engines. She barks at my brother but sleeps curled at my feet, snoring like a tiny chainsaw. Soul sister much? The engine part money has grown to over $3,500. I'm using some for a solo trip to Italy next month. Nervous but super excited. Landon updates. About 2 months after my last post, he lost all remaining freelance clients. Not just from my voice messages, but because he was late, missed deadlines, and had a public meltdown at a car show. I know this because his mom still texts me occasionally. We have a weird mutual respect. Landon moved back with his parents, but that didn't last. He broke house rules, brought home strange enthusiasts at 3 a.m., was rude. They gave him an ultimatum. Proper job or move out, he chose. To move out and now crashes on friends' couches, his circle dramatically shrunk. His vintage 67 Barracuda project car? Still half-finished in storage, racking up fees, because he couldn't afford to continue or sell it due to inaccessible specialized components. He's still making payments on the initial loan for a car he can't work on or display. His mom said he tried to blame me legally, but his lawyer told him he had no case. My payments were gifts, and I had evidence of his fraudulent business practices. Aubrey, the girl from his car community, is his official girlfriend. Through mutual friends, I hear it's super toxic. She found him talking to other girls on vintage car dating apps but took him back. They've broken up and reunited 5 times. Poor girl is where I was 3 years ago. I hope she figures it out faster. The weirdest part. 4 months ago, Landon's brother messaged me on Instagram. We'd met twice. He apologized for his brother's behavior, then asked me out for coffee to discuss classic cars and life. Sir, this is not appropriate. I politely declined and blocked him too. Some people have zero self-awareness. I calculated approximately how much I spent on Landon over 3 years. Car payments, workshop rent, Most dates, unpaid business emergency loans. Over $35,000. That's a down payment on a house. I could have traveled the world or paid student loans. Instead, I funded the lavish hobby lifestyle of someone who called me a loyal labradoodle. I didn't get him fired. His own words and actions did. If you're defending him after he publicly humiliated someone who supported him for years, examine why. I will never speak to him again for closure. My closure came when I walked out of that bistro 7 months ago. Everything since has just confirmed I made the right choice. So that's where things stand. If you take anything from my story, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And if they call you a loyal labradoodle, take their expensive car parts and dump their crap at the local industrial recycling center. That's just a joke, mostly. Voice messages were forwarded from my laptop to the people he talked about, or attached as downloaded files. No hacking required.